Go ahead and get started.
Welcome to OHS 103, the pricing conversation. Have you ever had everything going right? You know, you're sitting there with a client, you're listing conversation, everything's going well, and then the price comes up. And now it's World War III because this guy wants to list, or this lady would like to list her house for 50,000, 100,000, whatever else, more than what it's worth. Well, let me tell you something. No good. You need to have the house priced properly. We've talked about this a million times in this program. And of course, you understand that it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you have 100 listings. If they're priced wrong, they're going to sit there. You need to have them priced right to count as a legitimate part of your inventory. So, how do you do that? Well, we're going to teach you in this session how to have the pricing conversation and set the price at a price that's correct for the seller. Foundations for success. The most important factor in selling a property is listing it for the right price. If a house is listed for the right price, it's going to sell. Even if you don't do the right things. How many successful realtors do you see out there that are list them and leave them agents? And when the house is priced correctly, despite their lack of effort, the house still sells and they're still rewarded as being a good agent because the house sold. If you did nothing else that we teach you in all of these modules, but get listings and get listings priced correctly, you would be successful. You're going to be that much more successful because you're going to do all the additional things that we teach you, marketing the properties, promoting the properties, and things like that. But even if you didn't do those things and just got the listings and priced them right, you would be a very successful realtor. The reason is houses that are priced properly sell. Successful realtors effectively communicate the value of the property that they are listing. The best realtors set themselves up as coaches and advisors, not salespeople, so their clients understand that their realtor knows best. We've talked about this in other modules, but it's important again. Have yourself seen as a coach and an advisor. You are the guru of the town. You know everything going on in the town, including the price of real estate in the town. Top realtors take control of the conversation and leave the home with the home listed and the home priced correctly. Not just listed, but listed and priced correctly. And after this module, that's what you're going to do. I say it again in a second slide. The most important factor in selling a property is listing it for the right price. The reason I said it twice is I really want this to sink in of how important it is to get the house priced correctly. I see so many realtors that are just looking to get another listing, another listing, another listing, and that's great. And I understand at the beginning you want to do that. But if that listing isn't priced right, it's going to sit on the market. It's going to ruin your reputation as a realtor that can sell their listings, and it's going to frustrate you, and it's going to frustrate your seller where they're going to be calling you. Why isn't anybody buying? Why isn't anybody buying? Why isn't anybody calling? And you're going to get blamed. So save yourself the aggravation and get this house priced correctly from the get-go. Remember that a listing gets the most views and attention in the first 2 weeks it goes on the market. So the whole premise of let's start it higher and see what happens and then reduce the price is a horrible premise that buyers come up with. And you need to explain this to them so you can circumvent that type of thinking. Price changes do not get anywhere near the attention. Explain that correct pricing is as important as all of your marketing efforts before discussing the property's price. Before you get into numbers and you're talking about your marketing, say it's equally important for my marketing to work that the house be priced correctly. I had a real estate trainer that taught me some of the stuff that I'm going to give you here. And this is just, I love this analogy. But right price equals the right prospects. To find a buyer, you have to have the right prospects. If you list your $300,000 house for $400,000, only $400,000 buyers are going to be looking at that house, people that are qualified for that. Your house isn't worth $400,000, so it doesn't compare to the other houses they're looking at. So they're going to disregard your house as a house that's just priced wrong, and it's not even in their consideration. A property priced wrong will bring prospects that are not interested in the property. Buyers are looking for a house that is worth what they can afford to pay. Right house, wrong rack. And this is the story that I was told. This analogy, I love this. And imagine that you are going out shopping. This is geared towards women, but men can also use this too. Imagine you're going out shopping for, we're going to use a dress in this case, for a big night out. Maybe you have a hot date. Maybe you're going to celebrate the awards because you just won Realtor of the Year for your company, or you just won a Circle of Excellence award and you're going to a gala. So you want to have the perfect dress, and you have $400 in your pocket to spend on a dress. So you go to your favorite boutique and you're searching the rack with the $400 dresses. The problem is, 20 minutes before you got there, someone went and saw a $400 dress and tried it on. When they came out of the dressing room, instead of putting it back on the $400 rack, they put it on the $500 rack. Now you're searching, searching, searching. You can't find your perfect dress, even though your perfect dress is only a rack away. But why? Because you're not going to look at the $500 rack because you can't afford $500. You can only afford $400. So your perfect dress is sitting there, but you don't know about it. The same is true with the house. The person searching for a $300,000 house can't find the perfect house that they want, your house, because it's on the $400,000 rack. Explain that to people ahead of time before the pricing conversation even begins, or during the pricing conversation before you start talking about the price of the house, and get them to understand how important it is to have their house priced properly. Building your CMA, you want to have it built and you want to have it verified by a third party, whether broker approved or something like that. So it's not you. I use NARRPR.com because the reports that come are very professional. Especially, you need to go in and set up your information, have your picture on there, have your logo on there. But the reports it sends are, that you can print out are extremely detailed and extremely professional looking. So when you build it, it's showing that it's not just coming from you, it's a third party source. It's not you saying that the house is worth that. It is what the market is for the house they're selling. Remember to only use sold properties. If a house, and you'll get somebody to say, well, the house down the street is listed for $400,000. I should list mine for $400,000. You say back, yes, it's listed for that, but notice it's still on the market and hasn't sold because it's not priced right. It's like that dress that's on the wrong rack. The right buyers aren't looking at it. Select properties as close to the subject property as possible with the same bedrooms, baths, square footage, etc. They must be in the same school district. Very important. And try to only use properties sold within the last 12 months. Now, sometimes you're going to have to deviate on some of these things depending on how your market's been, especially if you've been in a slow market. But these are the rules that you want to try to keep within. Controlling the conversation. Again, you need to set yourself up as a home valuation expert and that you've had yourself verified by third party sources. You're the expert. Make them know that you're the expert. You know the market. You know what the house is going to sell for, and you let them know with confidence that that is the case. Share that you only take listings that are priced correctly to sell and explain why. Say, look, here's the thing. If I take your house and it's $50,000, $75,000 over what it should be priced at, this house is going to sit. People aren't going to come see it. That's bad for my reputation. You're going to be calling me upset because no one's coming to see your house and your house isn't going to sell. I'm going to spend considerable time, effort, and money to market your house properly. That's why I need it priced properly. And that's why I don't take listings that are not priced properly. And as a professional realtor, I advise you to not take listings that are priced wrong. Discuss that you do free market evaluations for all your clients every 2 years. You have a ton of experience doing market evaluations and understanding the values of homes and sharing them with people. Establish yourself as an expert in the local area for pricing homes. Use other realtors in your office if you need a second opinion, and certainly a broker's price opinion is always a good thing. And you tell the prospective client that your listings sell because you market them extensively and price them properly, and that it is the marriage of both of those things, proper marketing and proper pricing, that will ensure that they sell their house, and again bring them back to what it is that they're committed to and help them reach their goal of moving to boom 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 by X date. Presenting a CMA. Before presenting a CMA, build the case that your data has been verified. I said this to you earlier, but I say it again. You can use a broker's price opinion. You can even get an appraiser if you feel like it's really going to be something like that. And let me explain something about an appraiser too. And I just had this conversation with someone that had their house priced completely, property priced completely wrong. I said, even if we were to find a buyer at the price that you want to sell this house for, unless the person had cash, and if a person had cash, they're not going to pay $50,000, $100,000 more for a property than what it's worth. Because let's face it, if they have that kind of cash, they're probably pretty savvy. But even if we get somebody to agree and get under contract, when a mortgage company comes and they send an appraiser, this property is not going to appraise for that price. And you need to remind them that in order for a person to get a mortgage, the property has to appraise. So even if by crazy chance you price their property $50,000 over and somebody came in and bought the house for over what the market value was for the house, they still, unless they had considerable amounts of cash, are not going to get approved for a mortgage on it because it's not going to appraise. So that's something else that you can certainly have a frank conversation with the seller when they have this thought that, hey, I'm going to price it more, and maybe we'll get lucky and get somebody to pay a little more, which, by the way, is completely delusional. And you need to be respectful about that, but you need to kind of let them know that people aren't going to pay more. Would you go to a car dealership and their cars normally priced $20,000? Would you pay $25,000 for it? Of course you wouldn't. On a bigger investment like a house, it's even more so. People are going to do their homework, do their research, and pay what it's worth. Explain that we only use properties that are sold. And we talked about this before, but here it is again. Properties still listed are not used when presenting a CMA or in the CMA, as they have not sold, and very likely they haven't sold because they're priced wrong. So these ones are priced too high. That's why they're still in the market. That's why they're not selling. So these prices are not legitimate prices. Will they help you when you're priced correctly? Yes, because it's going to make your house look a little bit better and people are going to go see your house first. But those houses are not going to sell because they're not priced correctly, and we can't use them as part of a CMA. Very important. Do not share prices until you are certain the property owners understand that you are an expert in pricing houses and that your comps are verified. These two things stop you from being the bad guy. You're going to probably be the bearer of bad news, the whole don't shoot the messenger thing. But the fact that you're an expert and that these are verified, the prices are the price. I can only sell your house for what it's worth. And here it is. This is what it's worth. I'm sorry if you don't like that news, but this is what it's worth. Explain that the comps that are about to be shared will provide the range that they can expect their property to sell for. Lay the MLS sheets in front of the property owners. Spread them out, 3, 4, 5 of them. Spread them out on the kitchen table, which is where you should be sitting. Have them sitting in front of you so that they would actually take a look at them and see, what they look like, and pick them up and let them examine them. Some people are visual learners, as we've talked about before. Some of them are going to be listening more to you, but either way, have those visuals out in front. Again, it's a third-party analysis. These are what have sold. I can't make this up. It's not my opinion. This is the facts. Review each sold property. Present your report with your price range. Explain that as an expert in sharing prices, their house should be priced at, and give the dollar amount, and write it on the report. Handwrite it. Pricing objections. So is this person an A, a B, or a C seller? What are they committed to? What's most important to them? And I've asked this question on numerous occasions. What is more important to you? Getting the price or getting the house sold? If they've told you they want to move inside of 6 months or 7 months or 8 months, but they're still telling you this price, well, which is it that's more important, getting your price or getting sold? Now, of course, they're going to be smart with you and answer both and explain to them there's no such thing as both. We can get you sold in an appropriate amount of time within that 6 months that we're going to do a listing, but you have to be priced correctly for that to happen. If price is more important than the time frame, and we list your house for 25,000, 30,000, 50,000 over what it should be listed at, you're not going to be sold in the time that you want. Are you okay with that? Can you live with the fact that it may take a year or more to sell your property? And is that more important that you get that price than actually getting sold in the time frame that you wanted? Get that answer from them. If you find out that it's all about the price, they're a they're a B or probably a C seller. Refer them out. Take a referral on it. Tell them, look, again, I am more into getting houses sold that I list. Going to put a lot of time, money, and effort into this. And for me to do my marketing the way I want, I need to have it priced correctly. If you truly feel that this is the price that you want to list it for, I have someone that works with me that is willing to take this. But for me, for right now, I'll wait until 6 months when your listing is up and you realize that, hey, I really need to get this sold now. At that point, that's when you give me a call and let's work together and get this sold. And that it may sound a little harsh, it may sound scary or out of what you're trying to do, but if you go and say, oh, okay, I'll just take this listing for 25, 30, 50, 75,000 more than what it's worth. As I said to you before, this person is going to be on the phone with you every day. You're not going to have people in there. You're going to waste time. You're going to waste effort, and you're going to waste your reputation by being someone that takes listings that don't sell. They're not going to have good things to say about you, even though you warned them ahead of time. So don't take the listing and refer it to somebody in your office. Take a 25% commission. If somehow they get lucky and sell it, at least you get something out of it. If not, circle back with them in 6 months and talk to them again and say, look, or what are you looking to do? Are you looking to keep your price that high, or is it more important now to get it sold and then relist it for them? There are three things I want you to do for breakout sessions that'll be activities from this. The first is to create a CMA. If you have not yet been to narrpr.com and set up an account, I want you to do so now. Then what I want you to do is I want you to go into narrpr.com. I want you to pick a sample property, and I want you to go in there and practice creating a CMA with closed listings. Use a neighborhood you're familiar with, get comfortable with this, and then go through and look at that report and practice it. Secondly, I want you to do presenting a CMA and the pricing script, which is the second breakout session that's in this or activity that's in this. And then you're going to do the third activity, which is overcoming pricing objections. And in that one, you're going to learn how to overcome some of the common things that are sent your way when doing pricing objections. Thank you
All
for
right,
joining
guys.
us for
So,
OHS 103,
let's,
the pricing conversation.
I want to talk about a couple other things that I've since added. I wrote that training in 2015, but one of the things that you'll hear me talk about, and I know Mackenzie, you have a video. Renuk, I'm not sure if you do, but we can make one for you. But one of the things we talk about is our proprietary marketing strategy. And part of our proprietary marketing strategy is our proprietary pricing strategy. So the proprietary pricing strategy is very, very simple. Basically, you take all of the houses, you heard me say that in the training, you take the houses that have sold, let's just say over the last 3 months or 6 months, depending on how the market is, right? Where you have a big enough sample size and it makes sense. So let's just use 6 months. Over the last 6 months, let's say 5 houses sold. We take those numbers, and those are the only numbers, like I taught you, that we use in the CMA. But we also go and get 2 other numbers. We get the numbers of any houses that expired in the last 6 months. If it's more than 6 months, you can go back a little longer, whatever it takes. And you want to always have a third list of all houses that are comps that are listed now. Now, you only use, so I'm saying this again, the closed listings to formulate your price. But what you do is, and this is the proprietary pricing strategy and part of your proprietary marketing strategy that I want you to know so you can speak to it. And somebody says, well, what's your proprietary marketing strategy, your pricing strategy? Well, here it is. We know that if there were 5 houses that sold in the last 6 months that had an average sales price of $450,000, house is probably worth right around $450,000, right? It might be a little nicer. It might be not quite as nice. So maybe we put it in a range of 440 to 460, right? That's your range of where you, where you can price it in. Okay. The expireds, and you need to really speak to this. The reason houses expire most of the time is because they're priced incorrectly. Now, you may have one in there that had, a leak. I had a listing a year ago in the summer where there was a cracked foundation. I got it under contract 3 times. 3 times the home inspection came back, and the people were like, no. So, those things don't necessarily count, and you want to try to find out if you can. You can't always, but if you can, and exclude those from the list, you can show them, but say, well, this one didn't go. There were problems. It was a 25-year-old roof. They refused to replace, whatever the story is. But the other ones that are in there, let's just say again, go back and use our example range is $440,000 to $460,000. Let's say the average or all the prices on these were $475,000 and up. You want to tell the story that, look, these guys tried to list at $475,000 and it was overpriced. Because it was overpriced, the house didn't sell. If you have this conversation with somebody before they even tell you what they want to list for, again, you're building your facts, and that third part of the REAL, in our acronym for doing a listing, and the third A is advising them on the price, right? Just remember that if you tell them ahead of time, now all of a sudden that 475, that they maybe wanted to ask, or even if it was 500, you've cast a shadow of doubt on it, and that's what you wanted. Second thing you want to look at, the third thing you want to look at, the current active listings. So these houses are listed now. How long have they been listed, and why are they still sitting on the market? Many times because they're overpriced. Now, if the house has been on the market for 2 weeks, obviously, right, it takes a little time. But if the house has been sitting there for 4 months, what's that listed at? It's listed at $475,000, just like the ones that expired. See, those prices don't work. And if you can tell these 3 stories, the stories of houses that sold, the stories of houses that expired, and the stories of the houses on the market, you're going to get people to sit there and realize, wait, look, we need to move. That means we need to be between that 440 and 460 number. The last part of this is look at your competition. House just came on the market and they put it on for 440. Okay, that's a little bit on the low part of that, or they put it on 445, let's say. That's on the lower part of that range, the 440 to 460 range that we're using in our example. But, and understand this, all things being equal, that house is going to sell first. If we look at the evaporation calculator, and houses in this neighborhood, let's say, are moving slow, there's only one house selling every 3 months, and that's my competition. If I want to sell this, get this under contract and sell it in the next 3 months, I've got to beat that 445 price, right? Maybe I got to go 442 or 442.5 to beat that price to get my house on the evaporation, on the calculator to be the one that's going to sell in that time. And maybe I don't care. Okay, I can wait a couple months. So I want to get the 450. But again, by using all of these mathematical equations, you're teaching math here. It's fact. We're not talking about, hey, this is what I want or this is what I need to get, or I got these bills if I want to pay off my mortgage. No, none of that matters. Pricing successfully comes down to a simple math equation, and it is what it is, and it's worth what it's worth. So, any question? I'm gonna leave you guys with that. I'm gonna turn off of YouTube here, guys. Thanks for joining us for those of you on YouTube. And I'm just gonna have questions and answers with anybody here. If anybody would like the breakout sessions from this, you can email me at bill@rogbeyond.com. This is our last official training on Mondays before the holidays. I will see you the second week in January back. That'll be the first Monday in January, I believe. So we will see you then.